Previously on the Rod Pedersen Show.
I would be remiss if I didn't ask you about what's going on in the CFL here in week one of training camps. Your timeline seems pretty quiet, CFL-related stuff, but I know you're following it, so you must have some thoughts.
I'm just, Rod, I'm just amazed at the Toronto Argonauts. I really wonder what their general manager does. Like, what's the job of a general manager in sports? What's the job of a general manager in professional football? Like, I don't think that Pinball Clemens could name how many guys they bring to camp. 70-ish? 65? How many guys on that roster does Pinball really know? Like, I don't know if you saw the fiasco today where the Argos announced that Kelly was moved to the suspended list, and then they quickly backtracked and said, no, he's not on the suspended list. Like, the NCAA would call this entire thing a lack of institutional control. And, when you're the leader of the ship, pardon the pun, when you're atop the flow chart, it continues to start at you. And Clemens last week said, okay, yeah, it's on me. We got to be better. And then they come out this week and they're not better. And I just wonder, like, what are they doing over there when just, ordinary transactions, and I'm sure they're going to call it a clerical error or something like that, or a miscommunication. But this is your franchise quarterback. This is the league MVP. And last week, the Canadian Football League needed leadership. They needed leadership from the general manager of the Toronto Argonauts, and they needed leadership from the commissioner of the CFL, and they got neither from either of those guys. And, that's if you're a fan of the CFL, if you're a stakeholder, if you're a woman who works in the ecosystem of pro football in this country, how disillusioned, disappointed, hurt, stung do you feel with how that all unfolded last week?
Get ready for the Rod Pedersen Show.
It's like Ravine, the famed illusionist. He would hypnotize the whole crowd. My dad always told this joke. He goes, oh, yeah, Ravine was performing at the Center of the Arts. He had the whole room hypnotized. And he said, the next thing I say, you will all do. And he got tripped up, tangled on his mic cord and tripped and went, crap. Took him 2 weeks to get the smell out.
This is the Rod Pedersen Show.
Hi, everybody. Oh, yeah, another Jimmy Pete joke. He loved that one, and we all do, and clearly so does director Jordan. Welcome on up inside, everybody. Episode number 1245 of your favorite daytime sports talk show. Coming to you from the Florida studio, but not for long. Heading back to Canada next week for the summer, and I'm excited. There is a poll across today's show, which I'm going to get to in a second, but I will bring in our other half from Toronto, Darren Moose DuPont, and you know the news that I'm going to get to here, Moose, so I won't scoop myself or you on that, but how are you, and is that a surfboard over your shoulder for midgets? What is that?
We don't say that anymore, Rod. No, it's it's a little wooden balance board, actually. It's got a little tube goes underneath it. It's all for balance. I had somebody make this for me. It's pretty cool, but I'm good. I'm doing okay. It's a good day. Sun's shining. Warm day in Toronto.
Good stuff. The guests today are these. Dave Babych will be joining us, Winnipeg Jets, Vancouver Canucks legend in hour one and in hour two, to bring greetings from all of Junior A across Canada and the Centennial Cup. The president of the Saskatchewan Junior Hockey League, or as Clark likes to point out, the commissioner, Rod, Kyle McIntyre, will join us from Oakville, Ontario. Commish, president, potato. We think he's a great guy. Good hockey man. And he'll be with us in hour two. Can you hit the quick six show horn, please, Director Jordan, and we'll go from there. Thank you. Well, here's the big story, and it's not good when the media, the sports media people make the news, and this is not a good story. Longtime TSN personality and Sports Center host Darren Dutchyshen passed away on Wednesday. He was 57. For those that don't know, for the American viewers, Darren's one of Canada's most popular and engaging sports personalities. Can you throw the photo up, Clark, that I provided for you? Dutchyshen, he's from Porcupine Plains, Saskatchewan. Dutchyshen began his TSN career in 1995, hosting weekend editions of Sports Desk and CFL Live back in the day. Do you have it? Dutchyshen became a beloved mainstay on TSN's flagship news program over the next 3 decades, hosting the late-night editions of SportsCenter alongside co-anchor Rod Smith and later with Jennifer Hedger. So that's a photo of Dutchie and I on a night in Wadena, Saskatchewan that I will spend more time on later today on stories from that night. But that's Dutchie, and I'll tell you some of the highlights from that night. We did a routine together, and it was great. And we can bring the Moose back in, and you can tell your Darren Dutchyshen stories too if you want. But I'll say this about Darren Dutchyshen. What you saw was what you got. He didn't hide anything. He was a male Barbie in a lot of ways, and I'll give you an example. We were sitting there at supper, and I said, hey, Dutchie, I was looking up your Wikipedia, and it says nobody has hosted more sports centers in North America than you. And he looked at me and he goes, yeah, bro. That was it. Like fist bump. That's Dutchie, right? And then we get into the Q&A. We're taking questions from the crowd. And somebody said, Dutchie, who's the one NHL player you'd love to have a beer with and drink with the most? Darren? He goes, well, I've drank with them all. So why don't you ask me who was the most fun or who was my favorite? I'll say Carey Price. And then he went on to say why. And listen, they loved Darren Dutchyshen in Wadena that night. They didn't love me so much, and that's my own fault. But I'll get into that later because this is about Dutchie. He was crushing Pilsner like it was his job. And when I left, he was having a big time. And as somebody texted me today, yeah, he's from Porcupine Plains, Saskatchewan, left to go to Edmonton. I think in his 20s, he got to TSN in his 30s in 1995. But as a friend of mine, Devin, texted me today, he goes, somewhere along the way, Dutchie was asked on the SportsCenter panel or on TSN about the NFL or asked to hype up the NFL. And Dutchie said, there's only one team. There's only one football team. The Saskatchewan Roughriders. And near the end of my time with that team, they were flying Dutchie in to host our Hall of Fame dinner, the Plaza of Honor. And I knew they were paying him big money. And Dutchie said to me, I goes, I hope you're not upset that they brought me in to do this. And I'm like, dude, bro, speaking his language. I said, I've been doing this thing for 20 years, and I never got a nickel. So I'll just go sit with my friends finally, and you have fun. And he did, and it was great. He was just a great guy, and he didn't hide anything. And I saw, Darren, that you posted a photo with him, too. So you've got a story or two of Darren Dutchyshen.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't really get to know Dutch on a professional level. Really, I grew up watching him on SportsCenter. That was my era, and I posted it. And when this was in an era of Sports Desk before SportsCenter, where you didn't know the score when you watched the highlights. So when you watched the highlights, it was 45 seconds, minute and a half, 2 minutes highlights, and it was like watching the game. And he was so good at the highlights, it made me feel like I was like on the edge of my seat, wondering what would happen. And he'd say, he'd go with every save and every goal. And SportsCenter's not the same now because we all know what happens. We're just trying to look back and see how it happened. But he was great. And then in the fall of 2005 is when I met him. I graduated high school. I'd moved away to Saskatoon. I was playing senior hockey and going to the University of Saskatchewan. And I met Dutch. He hosted our Sportsman's Dinner, a fundraiser for the senior hockey team in Wynyard with Dave the Hammer Schultz was there. And one of the Richardsons. It was great. And that's when I found out about WABC. Didn't know it existed, the Western Academy Broadcast College in Saskatoon. He told me all about it, that he went there. I didn't even know broadcasting was a job that you could just go to school for and do at the time. And it was that conversation with him at the Civic Center in Wynyard that flipped everything. That was in November. The following February, I was enrolled in the school, and it was kind of because of that conversation that I'm in the business today.
From the audience, hey, you can all write in with your favorite Darren Dutchyshen memories. It's that kind of day. And again, that's what I love about doing this show in the daytime, that we're able to do this. Carlos in Indianapolis says, sounds like a great guy to know. Patrolman Pete in Winnipeg says, good morning. Just wanted to add my sympathies to the Dutchyshen family. Darren was a legend. You're truly Canadian if you know how to spell Dutchyshen. Bonus points, Sasky. BW in Edmonton says, started in Edmonton on Global Sports Night. Yeah, I don't think so, bro. Look it up on Wikipedia. I'm pretty sure he started in Saskatoon at STV. Just saying. Don't go claim. Well, it's a little like when Ron Lancaster passed away. And we in Saskatchewan were all crying, and Wally Buono goes, he belonged to the whole CFL, not just you guys. Okay. Dutchy doesn't just belong to Saskatchewan. He belongs to Canada and the hockey world. Okay. I just got to point out where he started. Porcupine Play. It was a lot of fun. So continue, please. If you have thoughts on Darren Dutchyshen and you're watching on streaming, write it in the chat, or you can text us 902-518-3033. In true Dutchy form, and we'll tell more stories later. We'll move on to the Stanley Cup Playoffs. There was only one game on Wednesday night. Colorado defenseman Cale Makar scored 2 goals, and the Avalanche beat the top-seeded Dallas Stars 5-3 in Game 5 of their best-of-5 second-round series. The Avs snapped their 3-game losing streak. Game 6 goes Friday night in Colorado. So Dallas, again, unable to pull this one out, unable to close the deal, and I didn't watch it. It was slow start. It was very slow starting. It wasn't the most exciting game at the start. Clearly, it picked up. And there seems to be something about Colorado that you like. Usually you pick them and they win. So, yeah, this series ain't over yet.
It's not over. They've got a lot of poise. And you know, a lot of Avs fans thought the sky was falling when Val Nichushkin, was suspended for 6 months. And that he's a great player for that team, like a big part of their offense. But no, they've got such great leadership, and it starts with Jared Bednar, the coach, and Nathan McKinnon was active again last night, and their back end really good. And if they can just get a little bit of goaltending, I know that it was a bit more of a high scoring game than we're used to seeing in some of these other playoff series. But Colorado's got that experience, and they can lean on it when their back's against the wall. I just don't think they feel the same pressure as a team that maybe hasn't climbed the mountain like the Avs have. So I have a lot of faith in that team that this series is going to continue.
Hell of a series, man. I'm sure Dallas wishes they would roll over, but Rupe Hintz didn't play. I saw that. So that's like 1-for-1 with Nichushkin. Which, by the way, I got to say something. You've seen the messages, I think, that have come into our show since I did the monologue of Nichushkin and the addiction battle that he's having and the discipline that he's facing. We have now had a lot of viewers write in that are struggling themselves with substance abuse. And just last night, I'll just answer a few. It's the Rod Pedersen Show. It's not Sports Center, so we have the leeway to talk about whatever the hell we want. And a guy wrote to me last night. He said, Rod, I'm right on the edge. I'm right on the edge of stopping drinking and joining sobriety. But what would you say to somebody that's afraid that they're not going to be fun anymore or they're going to miss the fun? And I'm glad that he asked, because I deal with that almost every day in people that I coach. What's there to miss? Guys like us can't drink for fun. We can't, right? So if you think you have a problem, you got a problem. What's there to miss? Having to apologize to everybody the next day? Blown opportunities, blown friendships. What is there to miss? Take the jump, bro. You won't be disappointed. That's what I would say to somebody that's thinking about it, but is afraid they're not going to be fun anymore. Which, by the way, I know it's a very heavy subject that I laugh about, and I'm just totally desensitized to it. It is what it is. But Darcy writes in from Grand Prairie, and he says, Wadena and Porcupine Plain, my old stomping grounds. Darren Dutchyshen is a Saskatchewan legend. Rest in peace. That night, I'm sober by this point. I'm not drinking. Dutchy's crushing beers. He's not an alcoholic like me, so he can. He's having, again, tie loosened, shoes off, big old sass tie. That's not me. And I go in there and start telling Pamela Wallen jokes. if you're ever going to go into Wadena, don't tell Pamela Wallen jokes. And for those that don't know, she was the iconic CTV anchor that went to the Canadian Senate and then was accused and I think found guilty of expense misappropriation, certainly faced charges of it. And I started making jokes about that in Wadena. They didn't find it funny at all. And Darren, you're a small town guy. If I was guilty of something like that, if I was guilty of anything, I wouldn't be able to show my face in Milestone again. I wouldn't be able to walk the streets. That's where I'm from. Kind of assumed Wadena would be the same way. Nope. I should have just handed the mic to Dutchie and said, I'm out. Anyways, Brian, because again, they loved him. He was just crushing beers and being the Sask hockey guy. Brian in Hudson's Bay writes it. He says, rest in peace, Dutchie. Great guy. He grew up just down the road from me. He will be missed. Trailblazer. But again, you want to leave a legacy if you can. Go look up his Wikipedia. It says on there, hosted the most sports centers of any broadcaster in North America. Listen, people get all, they still talk about Dan Patrick. They still talk about Keith Olbermann. Wasn't Stuart Scott was a host. All those guys, Dutchie's done more than all of them. As he would say, boom. We got a couple of minutes here into point 3. The Edmonton Oilers and Vancouver Canucks find themselves in a best-of-3 situation heading into Game 5 tonight in Vancouver. Edmonton evened the best-of-7 second-round series at 2-2 with a 3-2 win on Tuesday. Elsewhere tonight, Rangers look to advance with the win over Carolina, which we'll spend more time on that. Our poll question, now would be a good time to point that out. Who should the Edmonton Oilers start in goal tonight? I feel like it's elementary, but we're not always right here. And newsflash, the coaches actually do know more. I would have started Stuart Skinner in Game 4, and they didn't. They came with Picard, and he won. Pickard. So you come back with Pickard, right? Maybe not. So I don't know. I'm telling the boys to watch this very closely the second they announce the starter, because as of this morning, what I read was Knobloch hasn't named a starter. So I'm voting for Pickard because he won the last game. He's on a roll. But what do I know? Who are you voting?
I think it'll be Calvin Pickard. I think it will be Pickard. I think he's earned the start. I think the fan base will be really upset if it's Stuart Skinner. But also at the same time, I can see how they would go back to Stuart Skinner. If Knobloch said, look, he needs a game off. He's still our guy. He's going to get a game off, and then he's right back in. The Carolina Hurricanes did that. They gave Freddie Anderson a game off, came right back to him. And Brind'Amour said this was something I wanted to do, to give Freddie a little extra rest, to be an opportunity to give Stu a little extra rest, and it could be part of the plan. We'll know what Knobloch's plan is moving forward. If it's Pickard in goal, then you've switched, and he's now your guy. But if it's a Skinner, then that was the plan all along.
Again, if they've announced it, let us know. This is like TSN worthy notification stuff. That's who the Oilers announced for a starting goalie. And if I was Knobloch, I would wait until the last possible second too. Colin's watching in Ottawa. Appreciate you, Colin. He says, man, first Duke Myers, then John Frenzy, then Jim Hobson, and now Dutchie. My heart breaks for these Sasky sports legends. Well, don't forget George Reed, who passed away in December. I was going through some photos on the other day. It's been a not great year that way. But at least those guys all left their mark for sure. We will be back. We got a lot going on. 902-518-3033 is the text number for Sober Carpenter non-alcoholic craft beers. Ask for them by name at your local beer, wine, and spirit store. And we will be right back on Game Plus Television, WQEE Radio, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and YouTube Live.
The live sports experience is changing. teams and facilities are under pressure to provide online and in-venue entertainment. IKS Live has the right team to deliver. We provide service across North America and produce the best fan experience in the seats or streaming.
We're all capable of doing more. More speed, more reps, more commitment to getting every detail perfect. And that's why it's important we never miss a donation appointment. Blood and plasma donors are needed every day in Canada to support thousands of patients that rely on Canada's lifeline. We're asking you to join the Hockey Gives Blood Partners for Life team. Join today by downloading the Give Blood app or book online at blood.ca/HGB.
Did you know that you can help save a life? And you can start right now.
Stem cells from male donors increase chances of positive outcomes for patients, yet they only make up 40% of our registry.
Today, there are hundreds of people in Canada searching for their life-saving match.
You can be a patient's best hope. Be a hero by registering with Canadian Blood Services Stem Cell Registry now.
Does this look familiar? Your fans deserve an incredible arena experience. It's time for an upgrade. Stunning graphics. Revenue opportunities are just the beginning with our in-venue display systems and scoring technology. Let us help you find the best solution for your facility. EDG, always delivering the best fan experience.
Text 902-518-3033. 902-518-3033. Pick up your phone and text RP, that's Rod Pedersen. Text 902-518-3033.
Here's how your business can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show. All you have to do is contact us, and we will tell you all about the dynamic and exciting marketing opportunities we have, utilizing a fully integrated 360-degree multi-platform. Imagine your business seen and heard across Canada on Game Plus TV and around the world on the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. You will use one of the most overused expressions in sports. You gotta be kidding me. Get your business involved. Contact the Rod Pedersen Show today.
Hey, honey, can you get one of the kids to show me how this Twitter thing works? Honey, I need to get on Instagram. Time for more of the Rod Pedersen Show.
Yes, it is, everybody. And I should mention the reminder. Where did I put my bell? I guess that's why I'm using the gong all day today. Reward your love of movies by signing up for Landmark Extras for free today. And I appreciate all of those of you that have, because you're telling me about it, sending me screenshots from the theater, and I love it. Get more of what you love. Free movies, concession items, and then special screenings, cool events. It's all there. If you go to enough movies, of course, which we do, go to landmarkcinemas.com for more information and to sign up. Let's please bring the Moose in. I feel like this is one of those days, Darren, where we will not have enough time to get through all of what we'd like to cover today, and that's okay. But I'm going to read this Western Hockey League story right now because a lot of the comments coming up pertain to that and junior hockey. Braden Sherman scored the go-ahead goal with 5:53 remaining in the third period to lift the Moose Jaw Warriors to a 4-2 win over the Portland Winterhawks Wednesday night to book their ticket to the Memorial Cup, or as I like to call it, the Memmer, and a lot of us do. The Warriors completed the sweep in the best-of-5 WHL championship to earn their first ever WHL title, and the Memmer is in Saginaw, Michigan, beginning May 24th. So, before I get to the comments from the Warriors, what we're also talking about today is Darren Dutchyshin passing away at age 57. A guy by the name of Craig has tweeted me from his burner account. He's a former WHL goalie. That's all you need to know. He's got a burner. I know who he is. But he writes me and says, you and Dutchy are some of my first junior memories. Darren Dreger, too. I never took the time to truly appreciate the spirit and support you all had. It's always been special. For Dutchy, too late. For the other two, you were just awesome. Fun, professional. Thank you. Thank you, Craig. And if it wasn't his burner, I'd out him. But I guess that's the idea of a burner, right, Moose? You're not supposed to know who it is. I know who it is. Yeah. But he was a young team. We don't appreciate anything then. But the one thing, dude, my phone is going off like crazy on Dutchy. And all I can say is stuff that I say all the time. Don't waste a damn day. Dutchy's got kids, family, what they're going through. At 57, you're going to get to a point, Darren, and realize that ain't old. That is not old. I was talking to Serena about Mick Magoo. When he passed at 62 just a few years ago, I thought that was ancient. Now, 62's insight for me. Enjoy every day, man. That's all. Anyways, I'll read the comments unless you have anything to add.
No, you're right. You're right. And it's a sad day. And, you know, I would say, you say enjoy every day. And I would say appreciate, too, what you have and who you have in your life, too. And, you know, as Canadians, Dutchy was in our lives. You know, you might not have had his phone number or talked to him, or he didn't sit at your kitchen table, but he was in your living room. He was a part of your life. And, you know, all of a sudden, you know, the good things come to an end, and appreciate it while it's here.
That's all I'm saying. Just thank you. You probably said it better than I did. Just appreciate things. That's all. And I went a long time without doing that, but now I do, and it's actually pretty awesome. So I mentioned the Warriors, Moose Jaw. I kind of laughed. TSN picks up the final series. NHL radio this morning, they were talking about how the Quebec League, the Ontario League, and the Dub, that's the WHL, all ended in sweeps. People are like, has that ever happened before? Of course not. No. I don't need to look it up. Corey writes in on the Sober Carpenter text line, and he says, how about those Moose Jaw Warriors? I went to game 3, and I had a blast. Signed, Corey. Steve is in Moose Jaw, Saskatchewan. He writes in and says, good morning, Rod. Steve from Moose Jaw. Congrats to the Warriors over their championship win. What a party. Roof blew off the hanger when Martin Rice-Savvy scored the empty net goal late in the third. 3 firsts happened last night. First championship, first Memorial Cup appearance, first time in CHL history that all 3 finals were 4-0 sweeps. Moose Jaw versus Saginaw Friday. Gonna be a banger. Go, Warriors, go. And that's from Steve in Moose Jaw. So thank you, Steve. Do you think they might be a little fired up? I'm not pleased with NHL Network that they haven't carried any of the games, but that's okay. I can feel the emotion coming through my phone just looking at the photos and the pictures. What do you think about all this?
It's awesome. There is nothing like being in the building when the home team wins a championship, especially at the junior hockey level. You know, I was lucky enough to be on the ice, you know, when Swift Current won, and to be in the moment, you know, as a broadcaster too, there's not much that's better than that, being in the moment down on the ice. That's, and you can't describe how loud it is, the passion that's oozing through the building, you know, and for those fans in Moose Jaw that have waited a long time, I feel great for every single one of them. I feel great for their coach, Mark O'Leary, who has gone through, cut his teeth, assistant coach. Now he's led this team to their first title. I just feel really great for the entire city, and wish them the best here going to the Memmer.
Dave Babych coming up next segment. Vancouver Canucks great. Jets 2 to talk about tonight's Game 5, Canucks and Oilers. And in hour 2, Kyle McIntyre bringing greetings from the Centennial Cup Canadian Junior A. I think that's my point. Everybody's now jumping on the bandwagon, and I was thinking of junior, and I'm saying I feel like I know we talk about it here all the time. And I'm like, will I ever be the guy that just jumps on at league final time in the Memmer? No, I don't think so. Not at 51. I'm not going to change and not care about it all year. Well, you wouldn't change now, I wouldn't think. Patrolman Pete in Winnipeg writes in. He says, special shout out to the Ultimate Fan Zone of Moose Jaw. Both times I went there to buy stuff for my kids. I enjoyed talking to the dude there. He's great. Hope you told him you found out about him from us. Because you did, didn't you, Patrolman Pete? Thank you for that. Allie in Texas says, so sorry for all my Canadian friends with heavy hearts this morning. Darren was so young, but the things I've been reading about him, he seemed like an amazing man. Praying for his family. Yeah, it'll definitely be tough. Yeesh. It's like a memorial here today, celebration of life for Dutchie, which, by the way, I'm here for. Totally fine with it. Phil writes in, and he says, I was heartbroken to hear about Dutchie's passing. Growing up, the best start to my day was watching him on Sports Desk in the morning. He'll be truly missed. I hope I did it justice, talking about Dutchie and everything that he meant and what kind of guy that he was. Again, when they say what you see is what you get, that dude bro persona on Sportsnet, he's probably more that off the air. You know what I mean? I think he reined it in while he was on the air.
Yes.
Yeah, when he was off, he was way more, which way to the beach, bro? That was him.
I don't think he ever grew up, and you know what? I'm here for it. And I hope that I can remain as youthful and just, have as much fun in life as he appeared to have. I mean, going back to that night in November 05 in Wynyard, I mean, you're right. All us young people, 18, 19 years old, we were shutting down. He was still going. Same thing. You said shoes off, tie loosened. That was it. Like up on a high floor of the Wynyard Hotel above the bar, playing poker till all hours of the morning, cigar, and just that smile never left the face all night, razzing everybody the whole night. And everybody, couldn't keep their eyes open. And he's like, come on, we got another hand. Let's keep going. That was him.
He always, I thought he was wearing lipstick on the air. He wasn't. That's just the way his lips were. His whole life. I don't get it. I don't know. I've never seen anything like it. Wasn't makeup for television, just bright red lips. Rick in Martinsville, Sask. He says, rest in peace, Dutchie. His enthusiasm for sports life in Sask was infectious. Met him a couple of years ago at a function, and yep, he had a beer in hand and was a joy to chat with. Just a good dude. Point 5 of the Quick Six, the Toronto Blue Jays are off today after wrapping up their series in Baltimore against the Orioles. Toronto fell 3-2 in the series finale Wednesday afternoon. That was supposed to be the second game on Tuesday. That was supposed to be the second game. Wednesday was postponed to July 29th. Point 6, quarterback Chad Kelly isn't on the Toronto Argonauts suspended list, but remains away from the team. The Argos announced early Wednesday that they had placed Kelly on the suspended list, but a club official later issued a revision adding Kelly is still not participating in team activities and isn't present at its facilities. Okay, I'm tired of the Chad Kelly story. It can go away. All I have to say about this is the people, and my good friend Arash, tore a strip-off pinball here on this show yesterday. Arash and I, it's amazing that we're as good friends as we are because we look at things completely opposite. And my thing is, I wish people would lay off the Argos and in a lot of ways the CFL. I don't really feel that we know what went on between Chad Kelly and that female coach. I don't. And I'd say with any scandal, Hockey Canada, Chicago Blackhawk, now this, where's the handbook on this? Where's the handbook that you can find? Okay, what happens when your MVP of the league gets accused of something that we don't know that he did? What do we do with him? Where is that? It's never happened before. They're doing their best. And people are laughing at him and ripping him, and I'm like, what the hell would you do? That's my whole thing. I'm tired of hearing about it, but to sit and rip them, Darren, I think they're ripping the wrong people. You?
Well, it's tough, yeah, because you're right. The handbook isn't really there, but I saw that Chad Kelly made a statement this morning, and they put out a statement from him. And to be honest, it was a good statement. It was a really good statement, and who doesn't matter to me really right now who wrote it. People say, well, he didn't even write that or probably didn't, and they'll use that to trash him. Fine. But my issue with all of it is this statement, which showed some compassion, some empathy, but also said, showed some, he's standing up for his innocence. I wish this statement was made on day one. If the statement was made on day one, then I think this wouldn't be as big of a problem. That's the mishandling all of it. Hiding him and him just lurking around and showing up, just not great. But the statement's out now. If it had come out on day one, I think everything would be a lot smoother, but it's here now and we move on.
Yeah, maybe I just get defensive because I love pinball. That's not a secret. And I just don't like to see my friends get ripped, especially when it's not their fault. Call me crazy. Dave Babych coming up. Vancouver Canucks and Winnipeg Jets. Great to talk about this Vancouver-Edmonton series. We've ripped through the quick six show topics, so let's circle back on this. You were right. There was only one game last night. You picked Colorado correctly. I was wrong on Dallas. That's always the thing. We're not necessarily making our picks here because we're kind of out of time. But who's driving the bus in this Vancouver-Edmonton series, by the way? Edmonton just won to tie it at 2-2. Is anybody driving the bus, do you think? Anybody in control of this series?
I think they're really fighting over the steering wheel. I don't think that one team's driving it over the other. I really don't. I think, game by game, I think Rick Tocchet will tell you that Edmonton was driving the bus in game 4 because he felt like, and he said, we had 5 or 6 passengers that need to get going. And so, but I really don't think anybody's really driving the bus here or one team is fortunate for this series to be tied. I think this is 2 good teams going neck and neck.
Dave Babych will sort it out when he joins us next. I'll see you in hour 2.
See you then.
It's quite a day on the RP Show. We're live on the Game Plus Television Network, WQEE Radio, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and YouTube Live.
IKS Game Day wishes to congratulate the City of Estevan and Affinity Place on their brand new center ice display. This state-of-the-art score clock features 5 LED faces with full motion graphics, scoring integration, and our new Halo mounting system. If it's time for an upgrade, let us show you how to deliver the best fan experience. You can find us at IKSGameDay.com.
The race for the Cantera Seeds Cup continues on Flow Hockey TV. The SJHL playoffs are on.
60 minutes and who wants it more?
Follow the race for the Cantera Seeds Cup on Flow Hockey TV. The live sports experience is changing. Teams and facilities are under pressure to provide online and in-venue entertainment. IKS Live has the right team to deliver. seat in the house.
Text 902-518-3033. 902-518-3033. Pick up your phone and text RP, that's Rod Pedersen. Text 902-518-3033.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest-growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
It's like Ravine, the famed illusionist. He would hypnotize the whole crowd. My dad always told this joke. He goes, oh, yeah, Ravine was performing at the Center of the Arts. He had the whole room hypnotized. And he said, the next thing I say, you will all do. And he got tripped up, tangled in his mic cord and tripped and went, crap. Took him 2 weeks to get the smell out.
This is the Rod Pedersen Show.
I smile every time. Not that my dad's story was that funny. I'm just thinking of my dad. That was his story. The man they call Ravine. Welcome to hour 2 of not a downtrodden show, but it's a down day. Darren Dutchyshen, announced by TSN today, passing away at age 57. The tributes rolling in here as we continue from the Florida studio. Moose is in the Toronto studio, where Dutchy's spent close to the last 30 years as a TSN anchor, sports center, and hosted the most of any in North America. We're going to have, more Dutchy talk, hockey playoff talk. He would love that. And whatever the viewers would like to talk about Moose here. But I do want to say a couple of things before we move on. And did you do the meme on the Dave Babych thing? Did you like his quote there, by the way?
Yeah.
Hudson Bay rules. Do you know the origin of that phrase, Hudson Bay rules? Do you know where it comes from?
All I know is my interpretation on it means anything goes. Anything goes.
Right, but the origin of it, and the only reason I feel like I know that so well is my good friend Craig Pecchio Adam, the real estate agent to the Stars, is from Hudson Bay, and he said Trent Yanni, back in the day when he was playing, I think for Chicago, talked about a playoff series. He goes, it's Hudson Bay rules out there. And it just became a thing. The rules are, there are no rules. It's Hudson Bay rules. And that's where that came from. The Moose Capital, which is also where Craig Adam came from, and Glenn Gulletson and all the greats. Darren, you can at least appreciate this because you've lived it. It is so hot here. I've put this ice pack underneath. I've put this ice pack underneath my MacBook. And if you hadn't lived it, you wouldn't be able to appreciate it. And I know my guy Chris from the Bronx is watching right now, and he'd be like, it's not that hot, Rod. It's not even hot yet. That's what he would say. But Serena said that. It's not even hot yet. But I'm taking next week off, and I'm traveling back to Canada, and I can't be more excited to spend the summer in Canada because I'm done. And whatever. I'm not proud of the fact. Call me soft if you want. Bitching that it's too cold, bitching that it's too hot. That's what one of the viewers, Mandy, said yesterday. I don't care. It's what it is. But Darren, you were with me in Charlotte, North Carolina last summer, where the sun wasn't even out and our phones stopped working. It was so hot. If you hadn't lived it, you wouldn't believe it, right? You wouldn't believe it unless you lived it.
I know. It is, yeah. Like, I've seen a couple of those days in other places. Well, more than a couple, but you know, I was there at the same time. It was early May, and it was hot. And I can imagine what June, July, August are like. I was in Vegas once in June, and it reached 45 degrees Celsius. When you're outside in that heat, you can literally see the heat waves in the air. Like the air is not clear, like it's fuzzy with the heat waves. You can see it. So I can only imagine what it's like and how much hotter it's going to get there.
Listen, I would go inside. I would find a way somewhere else to do the show rather than out here on my line A. But I'm going back to Canada next week. I can do a couple more days, but holy man. The breaking news of this hour, I appreciate our VP of something, Nelson, writing in and saying the word out of Vancouver Canucks, out of Vancouver and the Oilers' morning skate is that Calvin Pickard is in the starter's net, however they say it now. Taking first-team reps is what we would say in football, right? As a matter of fact, Nelson has, from Oilers' morning skate, Pickard is in the starter's net today. I didn't even really know that that's a thing, but I'm assuming that it's a thing. I think I'm just behind times, right? I don't use the term gentleman sweep, backward sweep, the bumper position. What? Did he come out onto the ice first? And is he leaving the ice first? That's how you'll know. But our poll question is who should start in goal tonight for the Edmonton Oilers? Calvin Pickard or Stuart Skinner? And by the way, I had to put the ice pack on my phone too, and it's working a heck of a lot better since you got to put an ice pack on your phone. Just think about that to get it to work better. And the poll is saying what? Where is it? Oh, they're saying Pickard. 74% saying it should be Pickard. But again, we shouldn't get ahead of ourselves on this stuff. You never know, right? What the coaches are thinking. I wouldn't have started them last game, but that's why I'm sitting here not coaching an NHL team. That and a few other reasons. But I also wanted to relate this. Do you have thoughts on the Carolina-New York Rangers series, by the way? It's 3-2 New York going into Raleigh tonight.
Yeah, it's game on. You're going into Raleigh, too, which is, for my money, the toughest place to play for a road team. They're bonkers in there. It's wild. You know, I would put Edmonton up there as a good home ice advantage. Their fans are great. Vancouver's been good. You know, there's a lot of great venues. But I think Carolina stands at the top by themselves. They call themselves the Caniacs. It's a hard place to play, and the momentum is shifted in their favor. And if they win tonight, the knees got to be knocking for the Rangers and the fans in New York. It'll be fun tonight.
Okay, well, we might as well, while we're sitting here, make our picks for tonight, our breakaway bets. I'll go first. I got Carolina to win basically because they have to. I've got them picked to go into the Stanley Cup final. To do that, they'd have to win tonight and then in Game 7 in New York. So it's Carolina for me. How about you?
Yeah, me as well. I mean, they're my cup pick, and they're hanging by a thread, but they're hanging, and I'll go Hurricanes too.
You are too? Okay, and then the Edmonton Oilers at Vancouver. I'm taking the Knuckleheads. You?
I'll take Edmonton. And for the first time in this series, a team will win back-to-back games. And I think if a team can do that, that's going to be impressive.
Okay, here we go. We got a lot of women watching today. I can only assume it's because of you, Moose, and your hair. But
I don't know.
Mandy writes in, and she says, Picard. We had the discussion this morning. Blame Clark. Clark said it's Pickard. That's what they were calling him in Tri-City and Junior, and we were all following him there. Or was that his brother Chet that played in Tri-City? Either way, they had the same last name. It was Pickard and Junior. We're going with Pickard, right?
Sure. And you know what? If he keeps winning, I don't think he cares what we call him.
Boom. Just get in there and stop the puck.
Yes.
We'll get it right if you keep, we'll pay more attention if you win more games. Allie in Texarkana, she says, who leaves the ice first is how Brian Ray tells us who in net. That's what I said. What do you mean? It's the starter's net. Who comes up with this stuff? It's the guy that leaves first. Unless it's Marc-Andre Fleury, who was always the last off the ice, starting or backing up. But that's just a Flower thing. Jen at the Four Seasons says, I would die in Florida. Don't like it hot, hot, hot. At least if it's cold, you can layer up. Can't take your skin off, LOL. And Allie says, it gets hot quick in the South. Trust me, I've been doing a lot of thinking the last few days. I'm like, I basically just traded one for the other, the cold for the hot. They're about the same thing. They could kill you if you're out in it too long. It's hell on vehicles. But at the end of the day, I'll choose the heat. By the way, one more. Ted in Red Deer says, let's go Canes and Canucks. Oleg in Winnipeg says, I'm a male who watches because of Moose's hair.
How about that?
So there's that. So a couple things. I wanted to delve into this a little further. We've covered a lot of NHL talk here. Pickard starting tonight for Edmonton, and Carolina will win tonight. Okay, so the important stuff's been put aside or taken care of. We'll tell a few more Darren Jutition stories, and if you have some as viewers, that's cool too. But there's a betting show here. I don't want to embarrass them, but Serena's been on a couple of times. They've never asked me. You know where I'm going with this, okay? They call her the Queen of Pucks, and Serena's their hockey analyst. And one of them said to Serena, what do you think the Vancouver Canucks' chance is of winning the Stanley Cup? How she kept a straight face, I have no idea. But yesterday we were taping this week's Cats and Bolts podcast, which might have dropped by now, I'm not sure. And we had the legendary Johnny O. You actually have now seen the video, so you get the Johnny O. He's from Boston, big Bruins fan, you know. So as we're at the studio yesterday, the guys that run Podcast Junkies, the two producers, said, oh, by the way, Serena, we May 30th, we're having a cocktail party. We're having all the podcasts that do their shows here in our studio. We're bringing in some influential business people to mix and mingle and for sponsorship. Oh, and Rod, you can come too. And then everybody, ha, 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 like it's a big joke. And I'm like, hey, dude, I'm way ahead of you. Said Serena's the face of the show. I get that. We talked about this yesterday, Darren. You said, I'm now Jonathan Quick. Years and years and years of being the starter. Now I'm relegated to the backup role. It took a while to think about it. And, of course, Serena, she's like, wow, Rod's going. Oh, and I said, by the way, I won't be here because I'm going back to Canada on the 22nd. Suck it. Ha, ha, ha. And she's like, woo-hoo, Rod's leaving. And I turned to her and I said, and you can be the face of the show and represent this show at the cocktail party and be out pressing the flesh and kissing babies and doing all the work. And the look on her face was, she got it. She finally realized somebody's got to do it, and it ain't going to be me. So I just realized once you're not the starter anymore, it's a lot less pressure. I'm excited about it. My hay's in the barn, as we say on the farm. She's the face. You can answer the people on social media. You can take the crap. I'm out. I'm going to Canada. So that happened yesterday. There you go. They see, that? And you were the one. You were the one with the Jonathan Quick parallel. So I appreciate you for saying that. Doesn't make me feel bad. We all
I see him.
Have our time.
I see the videos of Jonathan Quick, the Rangers games. He's loving life. You know, he's a part of it. He's in there, but none of the pressure. It's a great spot.
I'm saying it. It's been a lot of pressure for a long time, and I don't got to deal with it no more. Not on that show. And it's good. Mandy in Edmonton says, Serena's going to be captain. All right. I don't know about that. I just said, you're up, kid. You're starting. What are you going to do with it? We don't quite know how this is going to end, okay? She's just been tapped on the shoulder, but the game hasn't started yet. Yeah, as Oleg says, it's not easy. Exactly. Where else was I going with? Oh, Sea Lightning writes in and says, Connor McDavid will have a big night. I understand there's a lot of talk about the Stanley Cup Playoffs in Canada, specifically the Edmonton-Vancouver series. Can you confirm or deny, Darren? And they're saying that the only guys actually doing anything in this series are McDavid and Draisaitl. And I'm like, okay, I can't say that that's wrong because I haven't watched all the games, but I've also seen the point total. I don't see what McDavid's doing out there. What is the media hype and talk of that series, if you don't mind?
Yeah, it's so tight. And, most of the talk surrounds the Oilers in goal. And it surrounds, the Canucks and the lack of production of some of their big guys up front, namely Elias Pedersen. So I get a lot of Oilers goaltending and a lot of where is Elias Pedersen and how do they get him going? And Rick Tocchet's going to make some lineup changes going into tonight. I haven't seen what those are going to be. Höglander, who that might look like, but they're going to make some changes. And that's a big part of this and see if they can regroup at home.
I think you meant the Canucks.
Right, the Canucks.
According to the guys at the online sports betting podcast. Yes. From the audience, because I do want to talk, we haven't, here's how this show's different than a lot of the other ones you're going to see. No talk yet about the NFL schedule released last night. Have you noticed? Which I do have thoughts on, by the way. Regarding Hudson Bay rules, Brian from Hudson's Bay writes in and says, "Oh, Roddy, back in the day, Hudson Bay rules, when the Paw Huskies were coming to town for a game, the town was abuzz all day with excitement. The barn was filled to the rafters. Man, I miss those days. LOL. I was in Hudson's Bay speaking at a banquet, which reminds me, I posted a photo of me and Dutchie speaking together in Wadena. I was up in Hudson's Bay, and I bought a hat that said Hudson Bay rules. They sell them at the gas station. I have literally been everywhere, from Avonlea and Assiniboia to Zenon Park. Do the math, A to Z, and everywhere in between in Saskatchewan, doing those banquets every flipping weekend. So I know exactly what you're talking about. Again, but I'm not the starter no more. You can go to Buffalo Narrows and speak Saturday night. I'll see you when you get back. Have fun. Here's the gas card. Bye. Larry Dye in Medicine Hat writes in, he says, nothing funnier than watching Dutchie ribbing Brian Hall on Global Edmonton. Halsey would get irritated at Dutchie's snide remarks. Stop! The best! Right there. Listen, I don't know how well you know Brian Hall. Well, I'll tell you what, Farley. The Hall of Fame voice of the Eskimos. He was the voice for 50 years. I know we got to take a commercial here, but it can wait. One night, I was watching Detition and Brian Hall on the ITV panel or whatever the hell, Global Edmonton, they said. I think it was ITV at the time. Halsey's on there in a purple turtleneck. This will surprise no one. And he had a medallion around his neck. About that big. A gold medallion hanging around his neck. That was his style. And Halsey's on there talking about the Eskimos and the Oilers. And Darren, Dutchie, I'm watching it live, man. Dutchie turns to me and goes, Halsey, where'd you win that in the triple jump? Anybody that knows the personalities here, you should have seen. Halsey didn't even smile. Dutchie gave him one right on live television, and Halsey didn't know what to say. Where'd you get the medallion, Halsey? The triple jump? You could just see the way he'd say it, right?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Unbelievable.
So anybody that wants to talk about Darren Detition stuff, he wasn't afraid to chuck the knuckles if necessary in the summer. He was that guy. Darren Detition passing at age 57 Wednesday. The country is in mourning as we see, right? As evidenced by what we've been talking about here today. We'll be back in a moment live on Game Plus Television, WQEE Radio, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and YouTube Live.
902-518-3033. 902-518-3033. Pick up your phone and text RP, that's Rod Pedersen. Text 902-518-3033.
We're all capable of doing more. More speed, more reps, more commitment to getting every detail perfect. And that's why it's important we never miss a donation appointment. Blood and plasma donors are needed every day in Canada to support thousands of patients that rely on Canada's lifeline. We're asking you to join the Hockey Gives Blood Partners for Life team. Join today by downloading the Give Blood app or book online at blood.ca/HGB.
IKS Game Day wishes to congratulate the city of Estevan and Affinity Place on their brand new center ice display. This state-of-the-art score clock features 5 LED faces with full motion graphics, scoring integration, and our new Halo mounting system. If it's time for an upgrade, let us show you how to deliver the best fan experience. You can find us at IKSGameDay.com.
The live sports experience is changing. Teams and facilities are under pressure to provide online and in-venue entertainment. IKS Live has the right team to deliver. We provide service across North America and produce the best fan experience, in the seats or streaming to you. IKS Live continues to bring you the best seat in the house.
Nestled in the scenic Qu'Appelle Valley, just 20 minutes northwest of Regina, is one of the finest golf courses in all of Saskatchewan, the Deer Valley Golf Club. The clubhouse has a full-service restaurant, and customers can enjoy a casual dining experience with spectacular views of the golf course and valley. A fully stocked golf shop, staffed by PGA of Canada professionals, is equipped to meet all of your golf apparel and equipment needs. Book your tee time, family event, or corporate tournament today at the Deer Valley Golf Club. Call 306-731-1445.
Here's how your business can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show. All you have to do is contact us, and we will tell you all about the dynamic and exciting marketing opportunities we have, utilizing a fully integrated 360-degree multi-platform. Imagine your business seen and heard across Canada on Game Plus TV and around the world on the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. You will use one of the most overused expressions in sports. You gotta be kidding me. Get your business involved. Contact the Rod Pedersen Show today.
Send us your opinions now. We won't victimize you unless you really deserve it. Now, back to your host, Rod Pedersen.
All right, welcome back, everybody. The RP Show continues on this Thursday, right? Episode number 1245. I'm just smiling because when I think of Darren Dutchyshen, I smile. All the stories that are coming in are regarding that. Can we bring Moose in, please? Because I've just checked our Instagram. I posted the photo of Dutchie and I, and it's a lot of the crying emoji. And I get that's what people do, but Dutchie, he wouldn't want you crying for him. I don't think, man. He just wasn't that guy. He wanted to make you feel good. He wanted to make you smile. I'm going to get into that NFL stuff in a second. I'm going to answer viewer questions here. If today wasn't an example of how this show is different than any other show that's out there, I can't help you. You know what this is it. But people are writing in about your hair, Darren. Ted and Red Deer writes in and says, sure, Elias Pedersen needs to get going. The positive is the Vancouver Canucks have got this far without him. If he can get rolling, should be Oilers lights out. Oh, yeah. You're noticing there's a lot of people that want Edmonton to lose. That's quite interesting to me. Mandy in Edmonton says, I would like that lid, the one that says Hudson Bay rules. I've only been to Hudson Bay once. I don't know where that hat is. It's in Canada somewhere. Try and find it. And Oleg says, do you, Rod, regret any dinner speeches, the after-dinner speeches? Mandy answered that for me and says, RP regrets nothing. And that's a fact. A few things personally, yes. Professionally, not a damn thing. If I had the opportunity to go back into Wadena, I wouldn't tell Pamela Wallen jokes. That's a fact. Other than that, no, I don't regret any of these after. It was the only place of I say like 1,000 dinners I've done. A conservative estimate. I might have done more. I'm old. It's the only place where they wanted to light me on fire. Weird. Brent in Wellington, Florida, writes in and says, man, I watched the Chase brothers and Dutchie, along with the Koser brothers and Clark brothers, own the bar at Fisherman's Cove at Greenwater Provincial Park back in the 80s. Oh, they did. And I would think when they have the ceremony of life for Dutchie, there might be a few beers drank. What do you think, Moose? What do you think?
I think there'll be at least a beer or two drank, probably a Pilsner. You know, John Liu told a story on Twitter this morning. I don't know if you saw John Liu's tweet. I thought this was funny. He was telling a story about Dutchie calling the highlights. St. Louis Cardinals, Edgar Renteria. And Renteria had hit the ball into the outfield and was trying to stretch it into a triple. And Dutchie's on the air. Renteria! Renteria! And he gets thrown out at third. Gone! Nuria.
How about that?
I got it. It took me a second. Producer Clark, can you throw that photo up again? I appreciate my U.S. friends are writing me now with condolences on Dutchie. Like we're best friends or something. We weren't best friends. We did a lot of events together, as you see in the photo. And we did hit it off out of a mutual love for the Rough Riders and hockey. But like I say, that night he was giving her. And I didn't give her anymore. It's not like that drove a divide between us or anything, but we were on different roads that night. But I thank my U.S. friends for the condolences. Yeah? Go ahead, Derek.
If the two of you were both giving her on the same night, you'd burn the small town to the ground, I think.
It wouldn't be good. It would not be good. It would not be good. Yeah. And I'm not going to get into any more stories than that. Here's the one thing where it got me in trouble. When I used to party like Dutchie did that night, I was doing the dinners every weekend. So do the math. You go to those small town dinners and all they want to do is get pissed up with the speakers. As Greg Zahn told me one night in Strasbourg, I'm a victim. They keep bringing me Pilsner. It's not my fault. It's kind of the way we looked at it. It's not right. Took me years in therapy. No, this is a you problem. Yeah. I want to say something, by the way, on my U.S. friends. You know how my gang meets every Thursday night? Was it you telling me that I had to watch Loudermilk? Like for a long time, you were saying, you gotta watch Loudermilk. You gotta watch Loudermilk. And everybody said, you gotta watch this. I gotta line up longer than the Gettysburg Address of shows I gotta watch on YouTube, or streaming. And I finally did. Now I'm hooked on Loudermilk, which, by the way, as I told you, that's my life. I'm Loudermilk. So my gang here, very similar, just so you know, because the guys in that show's names, they can this circle. It's a 12-step group, right? They're all a little zany. And the guys in the show's names in that group are New Guy and Muggsy and Moon, and you know what I mean? Like, so, came home and told Serena this the other night. You know what the names of the guys of my group here are? Just so you know, this is actual real life, which we meet every Thursday night, and it's canceled tonight. But here they are: Jersey Mitch, Venmo. Do you know what Venmo is, by the way? It's an app to transfer money.
Yeah, it's like PayPal.
Venmo. Okay, so you know.
Yeah.
Yeah. Jersey Mitch, Venmo, Country Boy, Prison Dave, Big Dave. These are their actual names. Yeah.
Who's Loudermilk? Who's the big? I don't know how else to say it. Who's the big black guy in Loudermilk? Who's that guy in your group that takes being a sponsor way too seriously?
I can't remember his name. There's Roy.
Okay.
Old Roy. Old Roy. Yeah, you don't get. Yeah, I should stop. I'll get a letter here probably for outing my identity. But Roy's the guy that sits and recites the big book in the meetings without having the big book in front. He knows every word, right, of the 676 pages. Old Roy. But
I'm not drinking. That's what an addict would say. That's what he handcuffs him.
That's what an addict would say. Oh, yeah, exactly. Oh, the show's amazing. We only got like 2 episodes left, and we're but I don't really need to watch the Netflix series because it's my life. Do you know what I was telling you the other day? This guy said to me, you know, Rod, so you're in sports, huh? I said, yeah. He goes, you're on television? I said, yeah. He goes, well, I know that Pat McAfee. And I'm like, right. No, I was the team doctor for his team. He's in my group. That's all I'll say. Right? Yet he pulled out his phone. He's got photos. And I said, I knew there was something special. There was something different about you. Something different about all of us, but another step different from this guy. And I'm not going to obviously even say his first name, let alone everything else, but he was the team doctor on a team that McAfee was on, and he knows him well. How about that? It's just a different world. Tony, I feel like everybody's just tired of the usual sports talk, and now we're just giving her with whatever the hell comes up, which, by the way, is fine. Tony in Cochrane writes in, Darren, the home of George Fox, and he says, hot. First time to Texas was 18 Celsius leaving Calgary in August, and of course, wearing my Wranglers boots and cowboy hat, got off the plane in Houston, and it's 128 degrees Fahrenheit with humidity. That's effing 53 Celsius. 53 Celsius. You know it's hot when your cowboy boot heels are sinking into the asphalt in the parking lot and you can hardly breathe. The air is so hot. See, but that's the thing. You cowboys want to dress like that? You go ahead. Like I thought, listen, I've dabbled in a lot of things. My brother's a cowboy. You know him. Dyed in the wool, riding the range cowboy. He's that. That's his deal. And as a teen, he was trying to make me a cowboy. I didn't really like it, but what do you call it? Hitched along to the rodeos and stuff. But one time we were at a rodeo in Wapella, and it was hotter, a day so hot it would make the devil cry, as I like to say. And these guys all participated in the rodeo. I was just apprenticing. It was the steer riding days. And then they stood there with a hose and the bucket that they were feeding the horses water out of. And they just stood there with their shirts off and their Wranglers and their belts undone, and they dumped it all over each other's head and hosed each other down, and that was their shower. I'm like, for real? We're not getting a hotel room to have a shower, for the love of God? And, of course, the women went nuts over these guys. I'm like, dude, their hygiene habits are disgusting. Not for me. Nope. Like, Tony, I'm sure you had some serious swass going on after that. Not to mention a few other things. Fremunda and all the rest. But it's just feels like a Friday, doesn't it?
It does. It really does. I agree. Anything goes today.
Oleg writes in and says, bro, your dad was an NHL player. No. He was a scout in the National Hockey League for 26 years with the Dallas Stars. But thanks. You're close. Also, the Blue Jays are off. There are no NBA playoff games tonight. This is the end of your segment, Moose. Do you have any last words before we get out of here and bring in Kyle McIntyre?
No, it's been a great show. And you know what? We talked about the Moose Jaw Warriors. The Melfort Mustangs, you're going to talk about the Centennial Cup. They're doing really well in Oakville, and it's been fun to watch them do their thing. And looking forward to that conversation for sure.
By the way, we do have a second before we bring in Kyle, and we're going to have to wait till tomorrow. This is a God shot. I didn't bring it up here. Netflix and the NFL announced a 3-year deal for the streaming giant to carry games on Christmas Day. Netflix will have both games this year and at least one game in 2025-26. Netflix announced during its upfront presentation to advertisers that it will have defending Super Bowl champion Kansas City at Pittsburgh, followed by Baltimore, Houston. I don't really care or get into that stuff of that because John from Edmonton wrote in about that yesterday. And then ESPN had the whole 3-hour special last night on the schedule release. And as you notice, I didn't do a ton on that because, again, I've been in it my whole life and I just don't. How can you get so horny about a schedule? Like, I understand why you would about your team, but really, 3 hours? I get the fans plan their summers, they plan their trips, it's their whole life. I get it, but that's not me. So we can talk about this Netflix stuff. We can talk about the NFL schedule tomorrow with Jim Barker, assuming he'll be on, but we're out of time. I don't assume you have schedule thought, or do you?
Just inevitable. It was inevitable that, Netflix, they're starting to dabble into the streaming thing and live events. We saw it with the Brady roast and other things. This is just another, step in that direction. It's the live streaming for Netflix has obviously gone well. And now they're going to take another big step here with the NFL.
Outstanding. Okay, Moose, have a great day.
Okay, you as well.
We're going live to the Centennial Cup right after this. We are live on Game Plus TV, WQEE Radio, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and YouTube Live.
The live sports experience is changing. Teams and facilities are under pressure to provide online and in-venue entertainment. IKS Live has the right team to deliver. We provide service across North America and produce the best fan experience, in the seats or streaming to you. IKS Live continues to bring you the best seat in the house.
Text 902-518-3033. 902-518-3033. Pick up your phone and text RP, that's Rod Pedersen. Text 902-518-3033.
Did you know that you can help save a life? And you can start right now.
Stem cells from male donors increase chances of positive outcomes for patients, yet they only make up 40% of our registry.
Today, there are hundreds of people in Canada searching for their life-saving match.
You can be a patient's best hope. Be a hero by registering with Canadian Blood Services Stem Cell Registry now.
I'm Bridget Lacquette. I'm a First Nation Olympic silver medalist, and I'm proud to represent Indigenous hockey players across Canada. Each year, hundreds of Canadians need a stem cell transplant from an unrelated donor to save their life. Anyone can have a hard time finding a stem cell match, but for Indigenous peoples, it can be even more difficult because just over 1% of prospective donors on Canada's stem cell registry are of Indigenous backgrounds. Be a hero. Join me in Hockey Gives Blood in helping to make a life-saving difference to those in need. Register today at blood.ca/beahero.
Hi, my name is Logan Stankoven.
And I'm Connor Bedard.
We're both Hockey Gives Blood player ambassadors and proud to be blood donors.
There are thousands of patients each year in Canada that rely on a generous stranger to save their life.
Please book an appointment today to donate blood at blood.ca/HGB.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest-growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
Oh, yeah, he's back. Time for more of the Rod Pedersen Show.
Hey, welcome back, everybody. Having fun on a sad day today. Darren Dutchyshen passing at age 57. Remembering Dutchie today, talking a lot of Stanley Cup playoffs, telling stories. Oleg in Winnipeg writes in regarding my dad working in the NHL, my brother being a Cowboy. My other one worked in construction for a time. Oleg says, your siblings weren't normal upbringings. No, our family photo looked like the band YMCA. But it is what it is. It's life. Yeah. This guy is as normal as they get, though. Kyle McIntyre, let's bring him in. The commissioner of the SJ from the Centennial Cup in Oakville. Looks like he's in his hotel room on an off day. How you doing, Commish?
I'm doing just great, Rod. How are you doing?
Good. I love the amount of time that you spend around all the reporters and broadcasters of Junior A, and you promote them so well. You're now going to be a reporter and a broadcaster for us. You are going to give me, please, a synopsis of the round robin heading into the playoffs at the Centennial Cup in Oakville, Ontario, if you don't mind.
Well, you're going to be in trouble. I'm no Jamie Nugenbauer, that's for sure. But, you know, Rod, 10 teams here from across Canada, 9 leagues from the SJHL are represented. Probably 6 teams have real good programs and are strong contenders. The strongest 6 teams are going to be moving towards the quarterfinals and semifinals. And among one of the stronger teams are the Melfort Mustangs. And I wouldn't say it would be so much talent and dominance on the Olympic-sized ice, Rod, but the team reflects their coach, Trevor Blevins. There's absolutely no quit in the Melfort Mustangs. They have a strong chemistry amongst team members. They work hard and they compete right from puck drop right to the final buzzer. And they have been excellent ambassadors, and they have worked and they have earned every victory that they have so far here, and finished second overall. So they do get a bye going into the semifinal, and hopefully the teams that are matched up in the quarterfinal, someone's going to do some work for Melfort so that we're going to see them in the final on Sunday.
I hope you have the list in front of you, but I did not realize that Oakville had Olympic-size ice. If I'm not mistaken, just going by the scores, because I haven't looked at the standings, but Oakville, the host team, didn't do that well. So clearly it wasn't an advantage for the host team, or do I have that right?
Yeah, you know, it's interesting, Rod. I was speaking to the OJHL commissioner, Marty Savoy, yesterday, and I said, did Oakville do anything to build their roster up, to make the roster more competitive? You know, when Portage and Estevan hosted, both of them probably won their leagues that year, and they had super competitive rosters. But there's not a spirit of cooperation in the OJHL to help out the hosting team. So home ice advantage really wasn't an advantage. And certainly from I would say the organizing committee has done an outstanding job. The player and team experience has been absolutely second to none. Lots of volunteers around the rink, but I would have to say, Rod, that the crowds here in Oakville certainly did not compare to the crowds that the community of Estevan had. So that's been a little bit disappointing. Olympic-sized ice does change the game a little bit. Especially for the Western leagues, the Manitoba League, the Alberta League, the SJHL, but those are still by far the most competitive games were between the MJ and the SJ.
I don't know what it is. It'd be nice to have it in Estevan every year, or in Sask, or even on the prairies. I understand, because it was well attended, I thought, in Portage last year. So well, listen, Al, if I can get real for a second, for whatever reason, I've been fascinated by the Centennial Cup. It takes me back to my childhood, watching the games. I've never heard of these towns like Richmond and Miramichi and Summerside and St. Albert. And here we've got Navan. Am I saying that right? I didn't even know there was a team.
Navan grads.
That's what's pretty cool. Yeah, that's what's cool about the Centennial Cup to me. What makes it cool to you?
You know what? I like the idea of having representation from across the country. And the thing that's kind of interesting, I mean, all the players want to win. They want to be competitive. They want to hoist the Centennial Cup Championship. But for a lot of kids from Melfort, for example, this is their first major trip to Eastern Canada. And Trevor Blevins and Ty Sugar, they took the kids to the Hockey Hall of Fame. They went to a Blue Jay game the other day. Today they're going to go to Niagara Falls and then do some practicing later on in the day. So for some of these kids, they are experiencing things and going to certain venues and events that they'll never see in their life again. And so although the hockey is really important to all of us, we're all passionate about it, there's going to be some lifetime experiences and friendships that these kids are never going to forget. So it's great. The 10-team tournament, though, it's a marathon. I'm going here 10 days. I've been here so far. And by the time things are all said and done, I'll be here just over 2 weeks, which is a long time away from home. And 3 games a day, believe it or not, sometimes you do get hockey fatigue, and it seems like Groundhog Day. But generally, the games have been super good, and it's been super competitive, and it certainly is a crown jewel of the CJHL.
As they say, that's hockey. Talking about doing the fun things, across the country and so forth. I wish I'd known. My good friend Craig Campbell watches this show every day from the Hockey Hall of Fame. Maybe he was there when the Mustangs showed up. That's awesome. So the quarterfinals Friday, Navan versus Miramichi, Winkler versus Calgary. Can I ask you this? You said how 6 of the leagues were competitive, which means 3 aren't. They're not looking at dropping some leagues, are they? Or has that been talked about?
No, we aren't talking about dropping leagues, but I mean, amongst the commissioners, we have commissioners meetings today, and we have meetings with Hockey Canada today, Rod, and certainly amongst the commissioners themselves, there's been some discussion about adapting the U Sport format, where it'd be a single knockout until you identify the final 6. That's a long way to travel for one game, mind you. Being from the West, I know the rivalries that we have with both Alberta and Manitoba, and the partnership that we have with those leagues, like a Western Canadian Championship. I know that would be highly contested. I know the games would be super competitive and super intense. I know that Calgary and Winkler tomorrow, that might be the game of the tournament. Those are both heavy teams with good skill, and Melfort, watching from the sidelines, they're hoping that they're going to beat the hell out of each other so that there won't be much left for the semifinal. But in the semifinal, it's interesting because the top place team, Collingwood Blues, they finished first overall by 1 point and a goal differential of 16. So they get to pick the time that they play in the semifinal, which is probably unique to the Hockey Canada Centennial Cup. And then it will go based on seeding. So the lowest seed coming out of the quarterfinals will play Collingwood, and then Melfort will get whoever is left. So maybe Melfort plays Miramichi, who they handled quite easily in the preliminary round. I don't know. But if Melfort plays Calgary or Winkler, that will really be the game of the tournament.
Well, I'll tell you what, I don't know what it's like there. From here, it looks great. Games, there's not real lopsided blowouts. I think it looks like it's been awesome. The final, of course, will be on TSN. And I would be remiss if I didn't ask you about Mike Reagan winning Coach of the Year, and all of Canadian Junior A probably accepts it like he's biting into a lemon because his team's not there. But as the commissioner of the league, you got to be pretty proud that the Coach of the Year came from your league.
Well, absolutely. The Coach of the Year award from the CJHL recognizes the memory of Darcy Hagen. And so it means an extra amount to the SJHL and to the coaches who have won it. And last year, of course, Braden Klamosko, who was an excellent ambassador for the league and for the coaching fraternity. And this year, Mike Reagan. And as we both know, Mike has been in Flin Flon a very long time. And it's quite an honor to have that bestowed on Mike and the league. But it certainly is not a replacement for the Centennial Cup. And I know that if you asked Mike whether he would trade in the individual acknowledgement for a chance at the Centennial Cup, I know what the answer would be 9 times out of 10. But for Mike, it's a real nice award. So he'll be recognized at the NHL Coaching Symposium in Las Vegas on June the 26th. So he and his assistant will have their all expenses paid down to Vegas. He'll be presented the award at a luncheon amongst his peers and NHL coaches, and certainly a real feather in the cap for Mike and for the Bombers and for the SJHL, Rod.
Well, congrats to you for that. And Mike is such a great guy. I got his number. I'll text him. Congrats. Yeah. Hey, enjoy the hockey. Kyle, thanks for this, and safe travels home.
Thank you for your interest, Rod, and go Mustangs.
The commissioner of the Saskatchewan Junior Hockey League, Kyle McIntyre, speaking on behalf of all of Canadian Junior A hockey. We'll be back with overtime right after this here on Game Plus TV, Key Radio, Apple Podcasts, YouTube Live, and Spotify.
The live sports experience is changing. Teams and facilities are under pressure to provide online and in-venue entertainment. IKS Live has the right team to deliver. We provide service
Hi, my name is Logan Stankoven.
And I'm Connor Bedard.
We're both Hockey Gives Blood player ambassadors and proud to be blood donors.
There are thousands of patients each year in Canada that rely on a generous stranger to save their life.
Please book an appointment today to donate blood at blood.ca/HGB.
Text 902-518-3033. 902-518-3033. Pick up your phone and text RP, that's Rod Pedersen. Text 902-518-3033.
Here's how your business can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show. All you have to do is contact us, and we will tell you all about the dynamic and exciting marketing opportunities we have, utilizing a fully integrated 360-degree multi-platform. Imagine your business seen and heard across Canada on Game Plus TV and around the world on the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. You will use one of the most overused expressions in sports. You gotta be kidding me. Get your business involved. Contact the Rod Pedersen Show today.
You got something to say? You want to add to the show? What are you waiting for? Don't just sit there. Say something. Now, back to the studio with Rod.
Well, it's been quite the day overall and here on the RP Show. Thanks for hanging with us to the end, everybody. It's brought to you by Overtime Hockey Lanes in Calgary. You can stop in and pick up one of those beautiful hats like I've got over my shoulder here. There you go. Give us a shot. Overtime Hockey Lanes in Calgary, 28th Street Northeast, where skill and fun collide. Golf has driving ranges. Baseball has batting cages. Why wouldn't hockey have shooting lanes? Well, they do in Calgary at Overtime Hockey Lanes. The tributes, I just do a little quick surf in the commercial break of social media. Everybody is giving their memories of Darren Jutishin. I love the people, the fans, the viewers, the media people putting photos of themselves with Dutchie. He was a man of the people. For those that don't know, here is your news update of this Thursday. Longtime TSN personality and SportsCenter host Darren Jutishin passed away Wednesday. He was 57. One of Canada's most popular and engaging sports personalities, Jutishin began his TSN career in 1995. He became a beloved mainstay on TSN's flagship news program, SportsCenter, over the next 3 decades. And I will add that he went on to host the most sports centers of any anchor in North American history. I'm proud to call him a friend. He's from Porcupine Plains, Saskatchewan. And if there wasn't a reminder to cherish every day, this is it. The guy had a hell of a career, and now he's gone, leaving behind a lot of memories. Just a great dude. So a lot of today's show is dedicated to our Dutchie memories and yours, and will be for some time. The other stuff going on with their record-setting quarterback and pop star dating tight end, the Kansas City Chiefs were the NFL's version of the Beatles last season. This season, the Patrick Mahomes, Travis Kelce-led Chiefs will be as close to matching the Beatles' famous song 8 days a week than any NFL team in nearly 100 years. Who writes this stuff? Not me. Along with the traditional Sunday night games, Kansas City is also set to play games this season on Monday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, in an odd occurrence that has happened only once before in the NFL in 1927 with the New York Yankees. Yeah, the NFL schedule came out last night. We'll spend some time on it tomorrow on Football Friday if you want to. But for me, it's, again, how excited can you get about a schedule? For us, working, when I was with the teams, it was always, well, you knew where you were going to be on these dates. That's about it. Didn't get that excited. Rob in Cold Lake, Alberta. I was thinking for a second. Rob in Cold Lake, Alberta writes in on the Sober Carpenter text line. He says, thumbs up to Cochrane's George Fox. Great guy. Also props to Les Jackson. Another great guy. Les, I believe, is from Manning, Alberta. Why are we talking about Cochrane here? I'm going to look it up. I think it's Manning, Alberta. And now he works for the Florida Panthers, by the way, not the Dallas Stars. But he was the guy that hired my dad in Dallas in 1988. Yes, Manning, Alberta. Tell him what he's won, Bob. Nothing. Just bragging rights. Thank you for the text, but I don't. You're going to have to connect them for me. NBA, Jason Tatum had 25 points and 10 rebounds, and the Boston Celtics beat the Cleveland Cavaliers 113-98 Wednesday to advance to the Eastern Conference Finals for the third straight season. In Oklahoma City, Luka Doncic scored 30 points in a triple-double, and Dallas beat Oklahoma City 104-92 to take a 3-2 lead in that Western Conference semifinal series. And I got a new one here. Sports Update is for Landmark Cinemas in theaters Friday. If, that's the name of the movie, If, from writer and director John Krasinski. If is about a girl who discovers that she can see everyone's imaginary friends and what she does with that superpower as she embarks on a magical adventure to reconnect forgotten ifs with their kids. If stars Ryan Reynolds, John Krasinski, Kaylee Fleming, Fiona Shaw, and the voices of Phoebe Waller-Bridge, Louis Gossett Jr., and Steve Carell. Tell me how it is. Sports Update also brought to you by Common Crown Brewing Company, turning your everyday common beer into a unique and exceptional experience. Visit commoncrown.ca. You just got a few moments left, 902-518-3033 to reach me in the Sober Carpenter studio on the Sober Carpenter text line. Sober Carpenter non-alcoholic craft beers asked for by name at your local beer, wine, and spirits store like Total Wine and Spirits here in Florida. Mandy writes in, and thanks for sticking with us today, Mandy. I appreciate you. She says, RP, what's your favorite Taylor Swift song? Well, I would have said I don't know any, but while searching for one within the last year for an Instagram story, I found Mean. So let's go with Mean. One day I'll be living in a big old city, and all you're ever going to be is mean. I could sing that to a lot of people, you know. Ryan in Saratoga, New York. I see the New York Giants didn't consult the Montreal Canadiens on their 100th anniversary uniforms. Anyway, have a great day, Rod Squad. BW in Edmonton says, great show of memories. See you tomorrow for Football Friday. Appreciate you, BW in Edmonton. Thank you. Jan at the Four Seasons. Either Skinner or Pickard. Doesn't matter to me. Just stop the damn puck and get us the win tonight. Go Oilers. Well, it looks like Pickard is going to be the guy. Same to you, Mandy. Love you too. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in. You have a great, safe time, and we'll see you tomorrow at noon Eastern right here.
Who has more fun than us?